Hello and welcome to the Toilet Paper Diaries. I'm Dave Crane. I'm here in Dubai, and on the other side of the world, the other side of the planet, is Mr. Ernesto Verdugo. Give us a wave. Today's episode is on impact, and life's all about those moments of impact and how they change our lives forever. So, if you're a speaker, an expert, or an entrepreneur, this episode is especially powerful, and it's all for you. So, let's get started.
And we're also celebrating Father's Week or Father's Recognition Week because, of course, on Sunday it is Father's Day. So obviously there's going to be a lot of very important messages about impact because, of course, parents can have a tremendous impact on their kids, but not only fathers. Even if you're not a father, this is going to be very interesting for you because, of course, we are going to be showing you how to have an impact. And to get started, it will be awesome if you are watching the show live. Make sure to share it with groups of entrepreneurs. If you're inside a group of entrepreneurs, or if you want to share with other people, because, of course, this information that we're going to be sharing with you is incredibly powerful. And one last thing, which I think is going to be very powerful. We have some really cool gifts for you in the toiletpaperdiaries.com. So it's toiletpaperdiaries.com. Dave and I have put together some really cool stuff for you that you can just go and get whenever you subscribe for our podcasts. Dave, let's just get started. Can you believe that we are already in day number 86 of this mad pandemic?
I can believe it. And I'll tell you what, I was in a meeting today with somebody and we're talking about what's our deadline for getting things done. And it just occurred to me that we would be in the same room talking on Zoom and one of us would say, oh, by the way, happy Christmas. Oh, yeah, happy Christmas. And we would have no clue what happened between now and that happening because that's the nature of it. It's just like Groundhog Day every single day. I kind of like it, but it kind of worries me as well.
Yeah, it is just really crazy. So I think what we need to try to do is try to put things into perspective, because if we're going to be talking about impact, we have to talk about the impact, the crazy impact that the COVID-19 has had in our lives. And I mean, just think about it. Just a tiny, insignificant organism has changed completely the life and the way that we all think. I mean, this tiny little virus has changed completely the life of the entire planet. So this is crazy. Now, one of the things that I keep on hearing very frequently is people saying, well, you know, we're all in the same boat. And I found a really interesting meme the other day, which I think just puts everything into a better perspective, because, of course, we are not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. That makes a much better sense, because, of course, we're not in the same boat, but we're on the same storm. So some people, for example, they have an aircraft carrier. Some have a little rowing boat. Some people are basically just with their life vests there on the ocean trying to survive. So this is what we need to really understand. And the reason why some people are in better condition than others is because, of course, everything that we do, every single thing that we do has an impact.
Absolutely. And it depends on how good you are as to whether you can do something about it and how soon you recognize it. I mean, what this comes down to is that simple fact that if people are appreciative of who they are, where they are, and what's going on, they can navigate faster. But everything knocks on to everything else. And so that's why we created this, to help people have a better awareness. So with that, I mean, there's actually a theory that covers this, which makes it very simple for everyone. And you've seen it in movies, but maybe you didn't realize that you were all part of it because everything seemed to be so normal and so smooth. And what could possibly change until now?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's the chaos theory, which in movies and in Hollywood and whatever, and most people know it as the butterfly effect.
Exactly. The butterfly effect, I don't know how many people know about it. And it's also in Jurassic Park, where they say that if you create an island full of dinosaurs, a Tyrannosaurus Rex will bite your car. If you've not watched the movie, that's kind of a quote that you get from it. But I mean, if you've seen a movie, Butterfly Effect, or even the Avengers movie, Endgame, the idea of going back in time and changing one little thing, the knock-on effect it has to everybody. Now, you can have an incredible story about what really would happen if you changed the past for the future. Doesn't matter. Just look at where we are right now and the repercussions of COVID-19. And so many different, I mean, the news now doesn't surprise me anymore. I turn on the news and you just go, oh, aliens landed in London. Cool. I wonder what their names are. It doesn't make any difference anymore. The norms have been broken so much that literally we know a couple of things. Internet, good. Bad people, bad. Shiny, everything. That's it. And new stuff is going to come. And so what you have to work out is how you fit into this whole thing. I mean, let's look at it. I mean, what we're doing right here with the toilet paper diaries, I'm looking at my phone as we're broadcasting, and I'm seeing a ton of people, arriving, because now this is a part of their daily normal life. And it's nice to have the audience come along. Now, I think most people won't understand chaos theory, so maybe what we should do is show them a video so you get the whole deal, not just taking our words for it.
Nature is highly complex, and the only prediction you can make is that she's incalculable. The amazing unpredictability of nature is what makes it marvelous and mysterious. This is what chaos theory looks like. To simplify and further explain this phenomenon, one of the early pioneers in chaos theory, Edward Lorenz, an American mathematician and meteorologist, coined the butterfly explanation, or popularly known as the butterfly effect. Proven in 1963, the theory implies that in some part of the world, an action as small as a butterfly flapping its wings might create tiny changes in the atmosphere, which would eventually lead to drastic ups and downs in the environment, causing events as catastrophic as a hurricane in a completely different part of the world. Had the butterfly not flapped its wings, the trajectory of the system might have been vastly different. Let us illustrate this with some existing patterns. Early October 1907, a young man takes the entrance examination to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. Of 133 initial applicants, only 28 pass. This man is not one of them. Fueled with rage, when he asked the examining board for an explanation, they said that his drawings lacked an artistic inclination. Little did they know, this man was an anti-Semite and would eventually go on to become the Chancellor of Germany, turning him into one of the major factors at beginning the Holocaust and the Second World War. Adolf Hitler. In 1962, American scientists and military experts feared what might happen in the event of a Soviet attack on the nation's telephone system. A computer scientist named J.C.R. Licklider proposed a solution to this problem, a galactic network of computers that could talk to one another. Little did they know, this idea would eventually be transformed and used for sharing information, entertainment, social networking, etc. by more than 2 billion people today. The World Wide Web. And if only one thing had happened differently, if the Americans were not paranoid about the Soviets, or if Hitler wasn't rejected from art school, it might have been an altered world we would be living in today. Now, how far back could you go in your life to show whose move at what time sparked a series of events that led up to you watching this video, making you what you are today? There are generations yet unborn whose very lives will be shaped and shifted by what you do today or tomorrow and the next day, because everything you do matters.
Yeah, so basically what I was mentioning a little bit earlier is, according to Isaac Newton, on his third law, he says that for every action there's a reaction, and whether you choose to do or not do, that's going to have absolute consequences on everything you do. Now, Jack Canfield has an equation which I think it puts it very clear. It's E plus R equals O. Event, that's the E, plus R, response, equals outcome. Now, if we are having most of us try to respond towards the event. Right now, we are having all the demonstrations around the world. And if we say, well, things are not going to change because of the demonstrations, basically, we are getting other situation to actually take over of our life. If we say, well, because of COVID-19, we're not going to be doing anything, then basically we're also going to be having a lot of issues. So now my challenge is, my question to you is, during the COVID time, during the time that we were really on the pandemic, Dave and I put together the toilet paper diaries. We knew that there was going to be changes, and we started creating something. So if you're watching right now, tell us, what have you done? What did you do? What have you done throughout this time? Because whether you did something or you didn't do something, it's going to have an absolute repercussion on your future.
Absolutely. And we love to read your comments anyway. So let us know your thoughts as we go along. But for many people, they'll be if not in a lockdown situation at home, they're still in a lockdown situation in their career or their business. So hopefully what this is doing is stimulating people to think differently. Now, certainly in the speaking industry, that's changed quite a lot. I'm going to be on a panel tomorrow, which I'm very excited about, which is going to be with some of my dear friends with the Middle East event show. So Maxine and Dan and many other people are going to be there on this panel tomorrow at 12 o'clock Gulf Standard Time. So we're going to be talking about the events industry and what's moved and what hasn't moved, and what we think is going to be the prediction for the future. And many people are still in lockdown. Obviously, if you're an entertainer or you're an event organizer, the word is maybe you should have gone digital. But many people are resisting, saying, well, it won't last forever. But here's the thing. If we can have a look at a couple of diagrams of pictures of what it was like doing gigs before. So you can see, before we show that picture, if you see on the right-hand side, this is me working at the Arabian Travel Market. So there we go, standard gig, audience, you on stage talking. This is another one, Dubai Rugby Sevens, broadcasting to 45, 50,000 people as the rugby comes in and talking to them. But here's an event that I've got coming up in about 2 weeks' time. So if you have a look at the screen, the next picture should hopefully blow your mind as much as it did mine. That picture there at the bottom, you can see a console and you can see some direction buttons. Now, this is a virtual arena. This is a virtual conference hall where that's going to be my podium. That's going to be my PowerPoint. That microphone will be my microphone, and I will be able with my mouse to go backwards, forwards, reject, and all sorts as we go in this virtual world. All the seats you can see in front of me will be filled with 500 virtual faces who will all be avatars watching. Now, what will I look like? To them, they'll be seeing me up on a big stage, and there'll be a little Rastafarian, Bob Marley, Milli Vanilli-ish bloke staring at them and sharing my presentation, talking in real time and going through the slides. Now, that sounds like a game, and find it is a game, because one of the things that hasn't changed is the gamer industry. The gamer industry was doing this for many years before the rest of us caught up. If you think about something like Game of Thrones, when each episode came out, would go out to maybe 40, 50 million people, and we'd all go mad on social media, what's going to happen next and all the rest of it. But at the same time, on Twitch, there were 80 million people just gaming and chatting and having their own world with nothing to do with Game of Thrones. Now there's a crossover. Now, the character that I have, the avatar on this presentation I'm going to do, I have to navigate them through the audience and up onto the stage and control my laptop like it's actually a game. So there's every chance I'll fall off the stage and land on my face. And that's part of the game, I suppose, it give a laugh to the audience. But it just goes to show that when people are talking about the future and saying, it'll go back, why would it go back? Because, okay, suppose you get a couple of people in a room and we do a normal event. Why can't you have 10,000, 100,000, or 1 million people watching a virtual version of it from their laptops all around the world? Think about the dynamics, the finances, the sponsorship. It's a different world, and why would you want to put it back?
Yeah, I fully agree, and I think what is more important is that these little things that we never realize. I mean, we are talking about this microorganism, and look at the impact that it had on the speaking industry. Now, also, there's the cost of inaction, and that's what sometimes puzzles me the most. I mean, we have been teaching speakers how to present, they can get their speaking plans together, how they can do their branding, and we have some students that implement, and then we have also some students that simply don't implement. And that, for me, is the biggest frustration. Let me just show you an example about one of the one of the students that do implement, and I really appreciate that. I mean, here we're seeing Justin Teo, which has been a student of Dave and I, and right now he's just about to do a virtual event next to Tony Robbins and next to Dean Graziosi and next to Alex Mendocian and some of the very, very big guys. So he implemented. So now the question is, why haven't you done? I mean, right now the world has changed. What have you done, or what haven't you done? And I believe that one of the reasons why a lot of people, whenever there's an event, they react to the event and then they hide. They don't have a positive response, because as we were saying, event plus response equals outcome. It's your response that's going to make that change, and that is going to actually change the outcome. So here, the important thing is why there are some people that see the what is happening in the world. I mean, it doesn't matter if it is COVID, or it doesn't matter if it is all the craziness which is surrounding it, and suddenly they say, well, we have to put the accelerator and we have to figure out exactly in which direction we're going. And then they start doing something, and then there's some people that get paralyzed. And one of the things that I learned throughout this pandemic is that sometimes you need to have someone find your gift for you. Because, I mean, I have the feeling that many people don't really understand what is the gift that they have. And because, of course, they do not understand what is the gift that they have, they basically don't succeed. I mean, in my case, for example, my gift, I feel that was found by my dad. I mean, my dad always believed in me. I mean, my dad passed away in 2017. And I think this is the reason why we wanted to basically talk about, talk a little bit about that's this episode, because besides that, it's going to be the Dad Father's Day on Sunday. It is very important to see how the support of someone that finds your gift is going to be in your life. I mean, here we're seeing a short video of my dad when just the last time I saw him, and he basically was the one that supported me in everything. And it doesn't matter what it was, my dad was always supporting me, and he was just showing me that if I actually did stuff, there were going to be a lot of very positive consequences. Dave, in your case, who was the one that also found your gift?
Well, I think it comes down to my parents. I've got to be honest, my mum and dad. I mean, there's a picture there of my dad. You'll see he looks almost exactly like me, but a completely different color. If you just if we zoom in, that's my dad when he was about my age or possibly younger. And the thing is, even from when I was very small, my dad helped me understand making decisions and dealing with consequences. And he's actually quite an extrovert, and I've no doubt in a different world he could have done what I'm doing. Because I often, when I make decisions about family or make decisions about business, I hear my dad's voice talking in my head. I'm very fortunate that he's having his birthday in 2 days, and we'll Zoom. But again, a knock-on effect is, as a sacrifice you make in your life. I live in Dubai. My parents live in the UK. I haven't lived in the UK for 27 years. And as a result of that, I don't spend enough time with my family. But that's the sacrifice that you have to make if you want to go to a place where you get a better opportunity to grow your own business and make your own life. So again, about those choices and those chances, you have to also be prepared. If you're going to make an omelet, you have to break some eggs. You have to take risks. I mean, I've always said jump and grow wings on the way down. That's my philosophy in life. And when we're talking about the chaos theory, we're talking about the importance of implementing stuff. Most people won't do stuff because it's too difficult. For people like yourself and me, what was the worst that was going to happen making the toilet paper diaries? We make fools of ourselves. But most people, or many people we know in the industry, would have been so embarrassed to just go, oh, no, that's it. People are just going to say we're not good. But it's momentum. If you want to run a marathon, you put one foot in front of the other and keep going. And eventually you'll hit that marathon. Who said you had to run it? Who said you had to count the steps? You just keep going. And that's so important to make the changes, especially in your business right now.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're getting some really nice messages here. We're getting Iwa telling us that she just tuned in and she loves the message.
Eva.
Brenda is saying that her father was the biggest cheerleader, and when he passed away, she launched the company Global Goals. And yeah, I think this is an important thing. I mean, Dave, you're a dad, I'm a dad, and we understand the incredible value and impact that we can actually have to our kids. You know what? Right now, Netflix is launching, because of Father's Day, they are launching a very nice show. And I think what you're going to see here is very, very nice. Have a look.
When my wife told me that she was pregnant, I remember thinking, wow, it worked.
We're pregnant.
Dads, apparently you're one.
I am one.
I want to know more about what it takes to be a father and celebrate all the great dads out there.
Oh my God.
Being the father, it's a very fluid thing.
It's love at first sight, like for real, for real.
I'm not Jimmy Fallon anymore. I'm Winnie's dad.
Now, this dude lives here forever.
Wipe my butt.
I could fall asleep right now from sleep deprivation. We don't have to make our family perfect, just make it wonderful.
You get the tiniest window and then it's gone. So revel hard.
Go, 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 go!
You're only as happy as your family, so you're very vulnerable.
When you're expecting a child, you're never prepared for the what-ifs. He had 2 holes in his heart. I'm forever gonna be his protector.
I love you all of my big heart.
Oh, you do?
I felt like an imposter, but I'm the man in their life, so I have to be excellent.
こんなにニコニコしないし、ありがとうって気持ちが。
One thing that I learned is that you need to trust your instincts. We know how to do this.
We went from no kids to 4 kids in 6 months. I literally won the lottery.
Dad, I remember you were worried that you'd never be as good a dad as your own father.
He was great. That's been absolutely my worry. If you could be a good dad, that is a blessing that you can pass on.
Is this normal?
No.
We had a 1,000-page manual for a television, and they sent you home with a baby and nothing.
You're ruining my life!
I think it's really intense in teenage years.
Your body is changing.
Oh my God, Dad!
Having a kid is the meaning of life. This is my purpose now.
You are the center of that child's world. Your dad.
What is a father?
Who knows? If I'm the expert, this whole project is in terrible trouble.
I'm so in love with that show already. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
And
that's going to be awesome, huh?
here's one of the challenges. As you say, and as Will Smith was saying, there's no rule book about being a dad. Now, we're not saying anything about mothers now, because mothers are fantastic. Without them, we'd be rubbish. It's just not even a thing. Women are brilliant. Mothers are brilliant. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about the dads, because obviously that's the bit that me and Ernesto understand. But we get it wrong all the time. And we work our heinies off to get it right. And it's like a numbers game. It's literally like that most days. But one thing you will do is you will take a bullet for your family. You will never stop trying, and you'll give it your best shot ever. And when you go to work and you go into battle and you do all the things that you do, all you need to do is go back home and hear, "How are you, Dad?" and get that kiss on your cheek, and you can go back into battle completely. And it's amazing how it changes your life.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, we of course have those that haven't had the dad impact in their lives. And this video, I think it's also going to be very important. And I think this is basically what's going to center our mindset, so that we can see how we, as speakers, as experts, as entrepreneurs, can have in our life. So have a look, and then we'll continue talking about impact in one moment.
Let's start with a father's role in his son's life. What is that role?
Protector, provider, and to be a model, a demonstration of what it is to be a man, and how a man needs to be, how a man shows up, not just what a man does. but also how a man provides, how he protects for the women. I mean, it's like looking at yourself in the mirror. You get to see your role played out, and that's so important for young boys.
Okay, is this resonating with you all? Yeah. Fatherless sons is a crisis in our country, particularly in the African American community. It is an epidemic. It is an epidemic. And what we just saw when we opened the show, the statistics of men in prison is directly related to fatherless homes. We invited Roland Warren to be here tonight. He's the former president and executive board member of the National Fatherhood Initiative. Shed some light on what we're saying here. Actually, as I was preparing for the show, there was a statement that you made that really struck me.
Right.
And I've called every fatherless man I know, where you said there's a hole in the soul.
Yes. I'm fond of saying, kids have a hole in their soul in the shape of their dad. And if a father is unable or unwilling to fill that hole, it can leave a wound that's not easily healed.
Did that resonate with you? Kids have a hole in their soul that's the shape of their dad. Yeah.
Particularly the male children.
The male children.
Right.
And one of the reasons I'm excited about what you're doing here, what both of you are doing here, is that you're turning the lights on about this issue, because there are consequences to father absence. I mean, that transcend the data and the statistics. And one of the things to remember is behind all those statistics is an individual. It's a little boy, a little girl who's trying to understand. And it's difficult to be what you don't see.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to become what you didn't have.
Yes. I think the thing that's so interesting, and you all are going to get this in tonight's life class, is the consequences of that hole.
Yes.
The consequences. You watched it.
With my brother, I watched it. And the thing is, like, girls, women, we'll talk about certain things. But guys don't even have the language to say, I feel void, empty, inadequate, less than because I didn't have a father.
Are you all shaking your heads because this is true?
You're not supposed to say those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, brutal. Yeah. And there's so many levels to that, what it's saying there. I mean, we're talking before, we might bring it up on Wednesday's show about the Man Up campaign. That was about a year ago, all about men being able to show their feelings and just actually say who they are. Because most people don't. We bottle it up inside because it's not the right thing to do amongst other men. But it's the wrong thing to do. But the challenge is we don't have a vocabulary for dealing with this. We don't know how to deal with it at all. And when you do understand it better and you get the empathy and everything else, it almost feels like you're enlightened but incredibly vulnerable at the same time. Now, to talk about people who unfortunately haven't had a father with them for lots of different reasons, I'm so lucky because my dad talks to me in my head all the time. I know exactly what I'm doing, and it will be with me throughout my entire life. I can't imagine the opposite. So I feel for everybody who's got a challenge because of that, but it's true if they don't have a mother the same way. So yeah, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's one of the things that I started to realize. For example, as we were saying, we have people that we train, and we as experts, as speakers, as entrepreneurs, we can create a big impact if we can actually help other people find their own gift. There's a speaker. His name is Cliff, and he's a drummer. He's a very interesting speaker. And he has a unique story, and he basically talks about Mr. Johnson, which is his teacher. And this is one of the things that you really need to understand. I mean, sometimes when you are doing a training, when you're speaking, when you are helping others, it's not about you only delivering content. It is about nurturing and helping people find their own gift. Have a look.
Being a professional speaker was not something that I grew up wanting to be. Every time I would go to class, it was just hard for me to sit still. I had a hard time focusing. I would move, I would tap, and I got sent to the principal's office. Principal told me to sit on my hands, and that worked for about 5 seconds. As soon as I'd sit on my hands, then my feet would start tapping. But one day there was a teacher, and he looked at me in class as I was tapping, and he said, "Clint, I need you to stay after class." And I'm thinking to myself, this is it. I am going to get kicked out of school as a 10-year-old. Bell rang, class dismissed. He pulled up a big chair and a little chair, and he said, "Sit down." And he said, "I watch what you do. He said, you tap in my class, you'll do something with your right hand, you'll do something completely different with your left hand. And he said, in big adult words, we call that ambidextrous. Can you tap your head and rub your belly at the same time? I gave it a go, and I could do it. And then he said, now switch it. Without thinking about it, I could do it. And he leaned back in his chair and he laughed for a minute and he looked at me and he said, Clint, I don't think you're a problem. I just think you're a drummer. That was the beginning of my story. I had the opportunity to tour and record all over the world playing drums. Been on America's Got Talent. One person in my life who looked at me and said, you're not a problem, you're an opportunity. Great mentors know how to connect people to their dreams. We need people like that to help us see the possibilities of what could be. There's two important days in a person's life: the day you're born, and then the day you figure out why. Enjoy the journey. The best is yet to come.
I remember when I was at school, I always used to get told off for talking. I always used to get told off for having a laugh and for not even be. I wasn't a disruptive influence. I was basically like a cheerleader in my class. And every school report said, if only Dave would stop talking and concentrate on the work, then he might become a success. And now I travel the world, or at least I did before the lockdown, get paid very good money to be a disruptive influence. I train the decision makers in big companies to not do what everybody else is doing if we want to be successful. So it just goes to show that if you're at school and your reports are saying that you're not doing the right thing, maybe the schooling's wrong. Maybe the system's wrong, or maybe the wrong person with the wrong set of eyes is trying to work out what your strengths are.
Yeah. So once again, I mean, if you suddenly see that you've been paralyzed, you have not done anything, it's because possibly you haven't really gone and found your gift. So somebody, I mean, I'm sure that somebody in your life, and that's why it's important to have mentors, are going to be able to help you on that. You need to take action because everything has consequences. And I think it's also very important, if you're a speaker, if you're a trainer, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an author, if you're an influencer, you should not just think about yourself, but you should think about the impact that you have had on, that you can have on people. Now, besides the butterfly effect, there's another theory which is very similar. It's called the ripple effect. And in the ripple effect, that can actually see the impact that you can have in people as a teacher, as a speaker, as a mentor. Just have a look.
Teachers have a huge impact on their communities. Often that impact adds up from all the little moments where they instilled confidence and they showed how much they cared. Students will come back and they'll say, "You made a difference in my life. You helped mold me into the person that I am today." But not all of them do. With lots of them, you'll never hear from them again, even though you helped them become a better human being. A teacher's impact is far-reaching, much like the ripples that go across a pond. But how far do those ripples go? How far do they actually reach? I bet they reach farther than you might think. The ripple effect of a teacher. In your class 2 years ago, spreads kindness to the team at work. You smiled at her every day before class. As a social worker, she helps families every day. Curious about other cultures in your class. Now on mission in the Congo. Saw you show your passion every day. He became a teacher and inspires hundreds of kids each year. She followed her own passion for computer science. Persevered with spelling in your class. Now owns a successful hardware store in your community. The troublemaker you mentored. Now raising 2 smart, loving children of his own. You intervened when she was bullied. Now a successful business executive. You empowered her voice in class. Now she leads a large team ethically. He's inspired by her, she's inspired by her, and he's inspired by her. And her team is inspired by her. Encouraged by you to study animals. started the first no-kill shelter in your town. You told her girls can be scientists. Now she's doing exciting, groundbreaking cancer research. You encouraged him to be himself. Now his popular art is enjoyed by him, by her, and by him, and by her. The ripple effect of a teacher. How far does it reach? Never forget your impact.
I mean, if you are enjoying the content of this, make sure to go to the to toiletpaperdiaries.com and make sure that you connect with us, because we're having Fast Forward, which is our show on Thursdays, and also you can sign up for our podcast. Let me just share with you one super good strategy in how you can start already having impact on if you're an expert, if you are a speaker, if you are anybody that wants to have an impact in the world using YouTube. I mean, one of the tools that we are really using very, very strongly for this show is the fact that we're using video. So we basically present on Facebook, but then afterwards, we also use the content on LinkedIn. We also use the content on Twitter. We use the content on every different platform that we can. But the one that, of course, brings the most support for us is YouTube. And I think this is what you need to learn on how to get YouTube impact. So the first thing that you have to work on is you have to make sure that you start creating powerful and very strong thumbnails. They make a difference. The next thing, so after you have the thumbnails, the next thing that you need to work on is on your titles. If you call your website, if you call your video number 34, 45, nobody's going to find it. So you really need to find out a title that is going to be easy for the search engine to actually say, okay, I know what this video is all about. They're going to start showing it to people. The third thing, and this is the most important thing, is you need to work on your audience retention. I have seen a ton of people creating videos, and they are interviews because they interview somebody which was very important or whatever, but their audience retention is less than 5% or 10% of the time. So basically, for example, if the video is 20 minutes and they only watch about 2 or 3 minutes, then that means that this is not worthwhile content. As you can see here on the Toilet Paper Diaries, because of course we're thinking of having an impact in what we are doing, we are trying to change everything to keep everything interesting. And that's why Dave and I try to make it fun and everything so that people keep on watching. I mean, we somehow have had episodes that we go for 2 hours and we know that people are still watching. Yeah, it's true. So that means that we actually can get the audience retention. Why are you laughing, Dave?
Because when we get to 2 hours, I want to go home, but we know we're still going and people love it. So there we go. It's rock and roll.
Exactly. So that's exactly the point. So basically what you need to create is you have to create videos which keep the audience watching. That's very important. Point number 4, you have to figure out what is exactly the kind of content that people are watching. So you should be able to see, there's a tool that is called TubeBuddy, TubeBuddy.com, TubeBuddy. You can download it. I mean, it's a freemium software, but it will give you all the insights in your YouTube channel in what kind of audience are people watching on your channel or someone else's channel, so that you will be able to create that kind of content. That is just very important. Next thing that you need to start doing is you have to have some target topics. You should not be doing content because, of course, you think it's interesting, because you are not your audience. You have to figure out what are people looking for, and that's the kind of audience that's the kind of content that you create. For example, this is the reason why, because, of course, I mean, we have a strong feeling about the Black Lives Matter and about the COVID and about all these things. But the reason why we are mixing all these into the mix of all the content that we create is because, of course, that's what people are looking for. So that's what we provide, and that's a very important thing. And also, a very important thing that you need to have at the very end is something that is called an end screen. What is an end screen? Possibly you have seen those videos where they actually recommend you those another video from your own channel.
Shall we show them exactly what an end screen would look like?
That would be a great idea. So why don't you go for it?
Okay.
Okay.
So we hope you've enjoyed this show. The Toilet Paper Diaries goes out every single week, and you can join myself and Ernesto every single week and get more great information. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you share it, and we'll see you next time on the Toilet Paper Diaries.
See you soon.
That was just a mock-up, don't go. But that's what it is.
Yeah. So that's exactly what an end screen is. So that's great that you're actually putting this into perspective, because I think it's also super important. And I think with all those little bits and pieces, first of all, having the thumbnails, the titles, making sure that you have audience retention, and giving people what they want, the target topics, the end screen, and I'm going to give you the very last one, which is consistency. The last one is the most important, I think. One of the reasons why Dave and I are consistently making content is because, of course, even 1 week without you creating a proper piece of content is going to actually have repercussions to your channel. So that's why it's so important. Now, one last thing that you need to learn about YouTube is that YouTube is not going to make you famous because you're going to have a viral video and that viral video is going to really explode. That's not how it works. The growth in YouTube is exponential. First, you have 2 people watching, then you're going to have 4, then you're going to have 8, then you're going to have 16, then you're going to have 32, and it's going to continue. And I think a healthy channel is a channel that basically grows exponentially. But now what happens is, if you have all this amazing content, what's going to happen is that you're going to have a tiny little, imagine that you have a video that is watched 6,000 times, 7,000 times. That video itself is going to all the time be feeding you next prospects and next customers, and you're gonna start really becoming very prominent on the YouTube world. So those are my points on how to become more impactful on YouTube.
Yeah, wonderful. I was going to add to it with where you're talking about consistency. One of the key things about consistency is probably best explained by looking at the old world of magazines. So if you're buying a magazine on a regular basis, like for me, I used to read Empire magazine all the time, all about movies, but 1 month it doesn't come out. So you look across the magazine shelves and you find a different magazine which is all about movies. So you get that and you take it home and you read it. The next month when you go back, maybe Empire would be in place, but you've also got that one that you read the month before. You might only want to buy one, so which one are you going to get? Are you going to go back to the other one, or maybe stick with the one that you've just started working with? That's what happens with consistency. You create a need and an interest to a certain niche, but if you don't fulfill it, they'll look for somebody else to fill that gap, and if that person's better at it, or more shiny, or more consistent, you have a problem getting them back in again. So that's why it doesn't matter whether it's a frequency of once a week, or once a month, or once a day, or several times a day. You want to make sure that you filled that gap.
Dave, for me right now, we're trying to leverage the fact that we are working together in all these projects, and I am trying to do everything I can in YouTube, in Facebook, but you, of course, are an absolute master on LinkedIn. So you prepared interesting, also leverage and impact kind of piece on LinkedIn. Shall we go ahead with it?
He's a good-looking fella. Let's take a look. Now, before we start anything, I'll show you my profile page in a moment. If you see the way my office is set up here, you can see that behind me I have a backdrop. The backdrop happens to have this picture here of, if I just show you very quickly, Blade, my favorite movies, Blade 2 actually. And then you've got a screen behind me where I'm just looking at the news, and I've got a few other bits and pieces. Why is this here, my microphone? To prove that I'm in business. This is not a fakey green screen where if I put my head back, only my chin is showing when it comes back. This is my real office to show you exactly what I have. And it's very important that you do this, because nowadays online, this is respected by people, that you're not faking it, and this is your real way of doing stuff. Look at people's profiles, especially on high-end conferences where we're just against a black wall or blank wall, or we've got a lot of rubbish in the backdrop. It means, yes, they're working from home, but it also means that they don't seem to take enough effort in what people can see, because people are picking up all the time things around you that they want to work with or don't want to work with as well. So now you should be able to see my screen. On there, you can see a picture of me. Here you've got my profile. Now, the reason I've got a profile picture of me at work with a microphone is because I want people, if they just glimpse at me, to see that I'm an entertainer, an engager, a speaker, and I've got some kind of credibility. Not just a picture of me smiling, because that could be anything and anyone. It's a wasted opportunity, in my opinion, to sell what it is that I do. And here, when we go to my backdrop, just like when you saw my office, it's got Speak on Stage, my website for training people, and it's also got evidence of me working in front of thousands of people on a big stage. And you see the 2 monitors here. Now, when you go further down, you can see my profile, virtual broadcaster and speaker. Yes, that has been altered to fit in with a new paradigm of people now broadcasting online, speaking online. That didn't happen before. People didn't take it seriously unless you're a proper news TV anchor. But now everyone's doing Zoom calls and webinars and so on. So I wanted to make sure that that was there. And I did it a long, long time ago. As soon as we started going to lockdown, I realized that there were no gigs for a while, maybe a year. So this is what I wanted to make sure. Now, what you have to realize is in the search bit here, everything you have in the search is actually related to being like a Google search engine. So if you're looking for somebody, the more that they have of that title, the more they'll show up. So it's worth optimizing your entire profile here. So I've got public speaker coach, I've got virtual broadcaster and speaker, online presentation skills for leaders, and motivating remote teams. These are not by accident. They're all chosen. So if somebody puts these in as keywords, I'll show up. But it's not enough to have it there. You have to have it all the way down in your profile, which I'll show you in a moment. Here you can see on your LinkedIn profile there, I've got the things I've been working on, some things you can look at. The profile views I've had recently, video views today, and search appearances, 61,000 followers. And here you can see my existing profile. But if you go further down, there's one where I'm working with the United Nations, which is still current, Speaker Academy. But look at the amount of times that the word speaker comes up in speaking, public speaking, keynote speaking. Now, you might not be a speaker, that's fine, but your profile has to have a lot more of who you are and what you do if you want to show up in search engines. See, there's me winning an award for being a best speaker in the region. And speaker, there and there, entertainment, host and presenter, all the way through my career, you can see it there, and that's all gold. Now, you've got to present it in a way that people can not only check it out, but see evidence. So therefore, you need to have pictures and videos and evidence. Now, this is my connections. You're only allowed to have 30,000 connections on LinkedIn, but you can have a ton of followers. So I've got 31,000 followers and 30,000 connections. So I always have to make sure the connections are the ones that I can see and check and relate to. Everybody else just shows up as a list of people behind you. So you want to make sure those connections are right. Now, 61,000 isn't a huge amount. It's not bad. It's not a huge amount. So why is it important? Because the 61,000 I have are people who are all interested in public speaking of the various industries that relate to the stuff that I do. I don't add people by accident. I add them because I know there's a business relationship between us. Now, I know lots of people who've got 500,000 followers and, you know, really a ton of followers. But what they post is stuff that people like watching. Now, that's great because it means you get tons of interaction. People love what you do and they connect with you. But the only challenge that you have is it doesn't mean that they're actually going to do any business with you. So if you're posting cats that get rescued from a tree by a fireman saying, doesn't matter how big you are, you should always be there for the little guy. Well, that's great. People will love it. But then when you say to people, oh, by the way, I'm an electrician. Will you do business with me? They'll go, oh, I didn't know what you did. Oh, okay. Well, if I need one and I can fly you in across the world, maybe I will. What you need to do is every post you have should relate to exactly what it is that you want to share with people. People should know who you are, what you do, and find that that is relevant. Did you learn something? Because I learned tons from you. I was making notes all the way through you speaking about YouTube.
Absolutely.
So there we go.
Absolutely. It is. It's very, very, very interesting. And I hope that you guys find all of what we're doing relevant, because I think basically what we are doing right now, we are showing you how we are doing it on the Toilet Paper Diaries. When we go into Fast Forward, that is a secret show. I love my dad. Yeah, that's very nice. When we go into the secret show of Fast Forward, we really go deeper and show you all this stuff. And you cannot watch it except if you are in our community. So make sure to go to toiletpaperdiaries.com and sign up so that you can see all those amazing trainings. Dave, we're almost running out of time, so I think it's good that we jump quickly into the news. What do you think of that?
Excellent. Let's do that. And then you can disappear into Houston, and I'll disappear into Dubai.
Okay, that's great. So first, which I think it was all last week, and I think it's just very, very nice to see. The entire time that on the protests, this has been really very interesting to see what has been happening also there in New York. I mean, we can see that all the white coats, all the doctors now, because of course they were having all the applause every day because of supporting all the COVID. Right now, last week, they actually were the ones taking the knee to support all the protesters there in New York. And I think it's just very beautiful to see how things are actually getting connected between one situation and the other. It's very beautiful, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, from a cynical point of view, some people might say that it's being used just to get people off the hook. But I think the very fact that if you take us back a year ago, and going on one knee was seen by much of the establishment as a very bad thing. Now people are starting to go, oh, okay, I get it. And even that ripple effect is having such a big difference. Now, if you look at the chaos theory we talked about, and you look at the ripple effect, sometimes in order to become the martyr or the person who starts a movement, it's going to cost you. And it could cost you your career. So if you look at Colin Kaepernick, the guy who first went down on one knee, and he was at the American football game, and he went down on one knee to salute the national anthem and the flag, to just protest about police violence. And NFL turned around and they banned him and fined him and did all sorts of things, and he got into so much trouble about it. But now, 5 years later, is it? Everybody's going, right, in order to represent this, we will go down on one knee. And to see that picture of all the medical people who, let's face it, are our heroes nowadays doing the same thing, means that it was worth it. So I agree. It's beautiful.
Now, another funny thing that I think it's happening right now in many amusement parks, because of course they have to be some of the rides in some of amusement parks, including Disney and several of the amusement, they need to be moving, because if not, they start to damage. So this is basically what they have decided to do. This is in San Diego. It's in the boardwalk in San Diego. They are basically having stuffed animals riding the roller coaster, so that that they can actually use it, and of course it doesn't look empty.
You know what it looks like? A furry's day out, and you know what furries are, and if you don't know, Google it. It's a lot more sinister than you think. So imagine mascots going out for a party. That's how they roll, or that's how they roll up and down anyway.
Yeah, and this one also, I think it's also really, really funny. This is something that is happening in Belgium. What they are doing is, because of course, I mean, you have seen that at the moment that you put the mask, I mean, you can only see the eyes. So they are right now taking pictures of your face and imprinting them in a mask. Let's have a look. This is very interesting.
Great idea.
J'ai désinfecté mes mains.
Pas de souci. C'est dément. Je suis fan.
Un lavage sans trop d'altération 10 fois.
Wow. I had not thought of that. The only things I thought they were going to do was those ones, and we've got them downstairs, where you've got that band that goes across, and you've got a barrier that comes down here, which is made of perspex or plastic or something. But this is great. I love that. But
I'm not so sure. I mean, they look like Orko from the Planet of the Apes.
What I would get done is I would have mine digitally altered with massive buck teeth or vampire teeth or something, but the rest of it would be me, just to freak everybody out. That would be my plan.
And this is another one that I am really, really very happy to see how companies are already starting to prep people. Well, we're going to come back to welcome you. For example, the airlines, and this is from Dubai. This is a beautiful video of how Dubai is already preparing for everything to come back to normal.
We've been waiting, dreaming, looking forward to when we meet again. We've also been preparing, getting ready, knowing the time to see each other comes closer with every rising sun. We promise to welcome you with open doors, to make your journey extraordinary, and your well-being our priority. We said we needed a moment, and it will only be a moment more. Dubai, Darna, home. We will see you soon.
Oh, it makes me feel warm thinking about, I think it's my country. It's not my country, but after living here for 25, 26 years, 27 years, it is my country because I love being here. And these guys get it right. Literally, if it had to be done, they would take you out to the desert and sanitize every bit of sand just to make sure that it was done the right way. I've never seen a country like it, so it's good. And I'm glad people are coming out to play. I just wish that they'd be very cautious because in a lot of countries, people come out too soon and they'll end up having to go back again. So I hope it's done the right way. From what I've seen, social distancing, wearing masks and gloves has been the thing. So I'm quite happy about that.
When are we meeting again?
We'll be back in 2 days' time. We'll be here on Wednesday, same time, 9 o'clock in Dubai and 12 o'clock lunchtime, noon in Houston. Then the same time on Thursday for Fast Forward. The only way you can get to see Fast Forward is by invitation. So you have to go to the toiletpaperdiaries.com, register, give us your details. We'll let you know exactly how you can come in and we'll accept you into the room. And then when we do it with our special guest on Thursday, we go deep diving into all the subjects. And if you enjoyed what we did today about YouTube, what we did today about LinkedIn, imagine a lot more of that, but more complex and more in-depth for you when you want to know about how to launch your business as a speaker or as an entrepreneur or as somebody with influence. So that's on our Thursday Fast Forward show. So if you don't turn up for any of those, then but if you do, you're in for an incredible experience. So we're looking forward to welcoming you in 2 days' time. That gives myself and Ernesto enough time to work on the whole thing. And also, I think we can continue the story of the fathers because we're leading up towards Father's Day. So maybe, just maybe, Ernesto, between now and then, one of us will find out we're a father again. Take care, my friend.
We love our daddies, we listen to what they say. We love our daddies, happy Father's Day. We love our daddies, we listen to what they say. We love our daddies, happy Father's Day. Dads are heroes, dads are very brave. Dads are the best because they keep us safe. Dads are playful, dads are very strong. Dads make us feel better when something is wrong. We love our daddies, we listen to what they say. We love our daddies, happy Father's Day. We love our daddies, we listen to what they say. We love our daddies, happy Father's Day.